All right. Hello, everyone. We are speaking to Trump supporters right now. Trump is right now inside the Stoney's hangout spot here in Las Vegas. And we wanted to talk about a really random subject on my YouTube channel about, this is something that a lot of people all over the aisle are really concerned about regarding infrastructure, and that is, should the federal government invest in more transit? Should we take more federal dollars and build more, particularly rail systems? What do you guys think?
This gentleman's going to let me go first. To repeat what I just said, first of all, I didn't know this was a Trump supporter. I'm here to hear what he has to say. I have high respect for him. When he was president, we had a lot of good years, and something seems to be a snafu right now, so I'm trying to figure out when my main thing is the answer to that question is, I believe we need to do virtual feasibility studies that actually show what is the best use of the transit and the people that would be using it and the corporations that would be investing in it and anybody that has benefit to it or be impacted by it. Do some virtual feasibility studies to make sure that we know what should be built there, and then use that data, that honest data, to scale it into what we would call an alpha test to make sure that there is any snafus, we work them out here, and then if it makes sense, you follow the money always. Follow the money, and then you show what is the result from that. If it works, then you scale it to a bigger option. But I don't think you just invest billions and trillions of dollars anymore in something that we don't have definitive data on and making decisions with it.
I think a lot of people all over the spectrum can agree that trains, particularly, or any kind of transit, moves people at certain times more effectively than cars and even planes. Because if you look at when you have too many people going to one place within 50 miles or maybe even 150 miles, we know the trains are more effective. Because could you imagine some major cities without trains? And then, of course, there's environmental benefits, there is efficiency benefits, there's less personal and private sector costs. So there's a lot of upside. They don't take up a lot of room. Our cities are more attractive. Now, the thing is that people will tend to vote for Democrats, or certain Democrats will tend to vote in a way that allows more mass transit. So how can the Republican Party, or whichever, or even independents like Kennedy, as a matter of fact, how can they address those people, or do they address the people who want mass transit?
Well, I think that's a good point, and a couple things is, because of the high cost of, it costs now $150 to rent a car for 15 minutes, it's crazy how expensive it is. So when I travel now, I actually use mass transit, which I never did before because it was affordable, but now it's getting to the point where you have to do something about it. So what you said about this makes sense. Logically, it makes 100% that you would invest in mass transit and make sure that you're doing it the right way. That's what I'm saying, is it makes sense to me, but without the data, we don't know. So how do you address that with someone like that hasn't typically using mass transit? And by the way, I used a scooter, and it cost me $31 to use a scooter.
Wow.
Seriously. So something isn't right.
It cost me $4 to use one in La Jolla. That is a few miles north of downtown San Diego.
I was in Colorado. Granted, I was on it for 30 minutes, driving around with my friend looking at, murals, but $31. So, I mean, something to me doesn't seem right. So, do we need mass transit that's affordable? Yes. Do we need it for just the disadvantaged? Yes. Do we need it for the middle class? Yes. Yes. Do we need it for uber wealthy people that can have a helicopter? Yes. If it benefits the planet, we need to start benefiting the planet on all levels. We can't just do things that don't have unintentional consequences for our planet as well. I'm a hippie and a Republican at the same time. I have both of those.
And Trump supporters, they're not all the same. They vary across, and that's why he's been able to get so many tens of millions of votes. But I was just going to point out, though, that there's been a lot of mass transit projects that's really given the system, the whole idea, a bad reputation. You look at the California high-speed rail, people call it a boondoggle, it's costing more, it's delaying more.
Because they didn't do the data. They had done the data and shown where the snafus were going to happen. They could have they could have fixed it then, and then when they came out of the chute, it would have been a perfect ride. But what they did is they scaled it before they did the data, and they didn't, and then they made mistakes. It's not rocket science.
And then we agree that obviously, like a place like New York City, especially Manhattan, Boston, DC, Chicago could benefit from mass transit systems. The thing is that they're costing way more per mile than other
Sure.
developed countries, and that has to change.
Well, it's
Not
because
to mention,
Hammer, with the government's involved in it, it costs $49,000. Where everybody else it costs maybe $49. So when the government scales things, it's just a little
Right.
expensive, and so we have to figure out why is it so expensive, and does it need to be that expensive, and what can we do about it? I mean, it's just let the data set us free.
And last but not least, we talk about a lot of wealthy people, including Trump, that talk about freedom cities. Trump has done a video about freedom cities, boosting the birth rates. We're going to raise the standard of living. Other billionaires, regardless of their ideology, has talked about new cities. Is that something you support? And or do you support the current system?
Yeah, so not only do I support it, but I and four disabled veterans actually have been doing an alpha pilot, and that's been successful. So we basically took a system that was broken, and we showed that we could take disabled veterans, and they built a house, and they started to grow food, and they sold it. And from now on, we moved to a 3-acre parcel, and that's where I was just talking to my cute little friend that was right here. And we scaled it from now that little small alpha to a 3-acre parcel that has geothermal on it, so we can use the power. It has Coldwater Creek running right through it, and it has all the land, about 165 acres around it. So we're going to start with a 10-acre parcel for just veterans. So veterans are going to input into this 10-acre parcel of what makes the sense. Then we're going to scale it after they give us the input, and then from there, the public will input into the other 165 acres that surround it, and we will have enough power, food, and water on the location. So in a snafu, if there's an emergency, they can share all of the power, food, and water that the whole neighborhood would need. So I'm not just talking about it, I'm actually doing it. We started with 4, and I'm not a veteran, I have a disability, but I have 4 veterans that have started this with me that are disabled, and so this is a big deal for me. So not in my how would I support it? I'm doing it. I'm not just I'm a doer, not just I'm a beer, and I'm not just a talker about it.
I think she should be in the cabinet.
Yes.
Regarding
I do
eco-friendly
too.
agendas.
Yes. Go, Rosalie.
Instead of what we have now.
Yes.
Yes. Any other last points? How to follow you or what you're doing?
You can go to Regen Rosalie in Instagram. You can go to Regenerative, REGENER8TIVE.com. That's the projects that we're, the programs that we're doing. And if you want to see a little feisty, it's a little bit feisty. It's RosalieBingham.com, and that's when I ran for Congress in 2020. And what I found out, that's a whole other conversation.
Which district?
District 4.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It was a whole. What I found, a sucker punch. I felt like I just got sucker punched.
I feel ya.
Do you? Do you know what's going on? It's a mess out there. It's way worse than we can imagine.
Thank you guys so much. Please subscribe.